Byergo, and I'm with the Soak Great Bay program. That is a project, a joint project of the Great Bay Stewards and the Department of Environmental Services here in New Hampshire. The Department of Environmental Services gave us a grant under their Soak New Hampshire program, or Soak Up the Rain. This is basically a program about helping people understand the importance of good stormwater management. The goal of stormwater management is on your piece of paradise, your little piece of heaven, 100% of the rain that falls on that property should infiltrate into your property with zero runoff. Why is that important? Runoff is one of the main sources of pollution that goes into, in our case, what we care about is the Great Bay Estuary. That runoff comes in two different ways. You might have, as we have with this house, a gutter that goes all along the back of your house or on part of your house. This lady didn't want, she's got a very shallow slab foundation. She didn't want the water coming down right next to her house, so she pumped it out to the street. And if you can see, there's a pipe that goes down, there's a gutter, and there's a pipe that goes down and has the gutter water running straight off to the street. When it goes out to the street, it goes into a catchment basin. And very often those catchment basins are piped directly to a river with zero infiltration, zero cleaning of the of whatever may have been washed off your driveway, your roof, the roads, along with other rainwater in that catchment basin. So all of that goes directly into our rivers and into our estuaries without the power of being cleaned by going through the soil. Just one other point I want to make is that as we do more development, we have more impervious surfaces. In our area of New Hampshire, over the last 20 years, the population growth rate was about 20%, 19 to 20%. The growth rate of impervious surface was more like 120%. That means that we build more schools, we build more malls as our population goes up. All of that impervious surface tends to shed stormwater runoff at a much faster rate. And one of the key points about it is the nitrogen that is in the air. A large part of our atmosphere is made up of nitrogen. Some plants can fix it. Most plants can't fix it. They depend on rain and, believe it or not, lightning to bring water out of the atmosphere and put it in the soil where plants can use it. If our rainwater on our property is taken off our property, that nitrogen isn't going into our soil. And then we have to get fertilizer from other places to add fertilizer and nitrogen back for our plants. So what you want is to have that nitrogen that comes out of the atmosphere fix in your soil rather than going off into our streams where it causes algae blooms. So two things: general runoff pollution and nitrogen, excess nitrogen running into our rivers and streams. So what are we doing to fix this problem here? As I pointed out before, we have this gutter that was running straight into the street. Instead, we are going to disconnect this gutter and put it into a rain garden. A rain garden is sized for the amount of runoff that is going to be going into it. Usually, it's about 6 to 8 inches of ponding depth, and then 6 to 12 inches of planting material put into a small, shallow, flat-bottomed basin. Why is that? Because the rainwater that's coming off that roof is going to be piped directly into that basin. The basin is chosen, the location for the basin is chosen as a place where you know the water is going to permeate into the garden, into the earth. A lot of times people say, oh, I've got a wet spot here, it'd be perfect for a rain garden. No, probably it won't be perfect for a rain garden because that's where water is collecting and not permeating. It's sitting on the surface, which means you may have clay, you may have rock, you have something that's preventing it from going someplace else and that's preventing it from soaking in. So what you want to do is a perk test to make sure that where you want to place that rain garden, that flat, shallow bottom basin to collect your rainwater, will be someplace that the rainwater will actually infiltrate into the ground. So that's what we're going to do here. We've got a bunch of volunteers, thanks to both the Department of Environmental Services, sometimes the Natural Resource Stewards Network, and the Great Bay Stewards. A bunch of volunteers are going to come and help dig this out, and then we're going to add amendments, loam and mulch to make our planting bed, and then we're going to put plants that are appropriate for a rain garden. So not every plant's going to work in a rain garden, because the rain garden is going to get flooded and then it's going to dry out. The bottom of it is going to tend to stay wetter than the areas around the top of that shallow flat bottom basin, which are going to tend to dry out. So you plant things like chokecherry. We tend to plant native species. They're hardy, they're good for our pollinators, they're wicked ruggeds, and they're also beautiful. So we plant things like chokeberry, ninebark, fragrant sumac. This is going to go on the rim. It needs a little bit drier. We've got some turtlehead, and this isn't all of the plants that are going in this rain garden. And then we have, we're also going to have some asters. We're going to have some bee balm. There'll be a diversity of plants in this rain garden, both shrubs and flowers, usually right near the inflow and outflow. Every basin has to have a place for the water to come in, and a place where overflow, because it won't hold all the water, can go and infiltrate someplace else. Those tend to be the wettest. So then we put things like irises and marsh marigolds around those, and I don't have those out here. So that's a rain garden in short. If you want more information, the best place to go is to Soak, New Hampshire. Just Google Soak, New Hampshire, and you will get the Department of Environmental Services Soak Up the Rain New Hampshire website. Tons of resources and lots of help.